Canadians from all across this great country sent a clear message tonight. It's time for a change in this country, my friends, a real change.
Canada chooses a new Prime Minister. Justin Trudeau brings a new face to Ottawa, along with a familiar name.
We gave everything we have to give, and we have no regrets whatsoever. Friends, how could we? We remain citizens of the best country on earth.
The country says goodbye to nearly 10 years of Conservative government and its leader, Stephen Harper.
As a party with established roots in all corners of this country and deep roots right here in Quebec, the next chapter begins in our effort to build a better Canada.
And Thomas Mulcair's NDP suffers a crushing defeat.
Hello and welcome to our Humber News 42nd Federal Election Special. I'm Laura De Silva.
And I'm Alex Drobin. The country woke up to a new reality today, a majority Liberal government. We have all the highlights from last night's stunning victory for the Liberals and analysis from political experts.
Justin Trudeau will be following in his father's footsteps as he becomes our new Prime Minister. Trudeau painted the country red and won a decisive majority. Out with the old, in with the new seemed to be the sentiment that echoed across the country throughout the 78-day campaign, and the Liberals are promising real change. Before the election, the party was in third place with only 34 seats in the House of Commons. Today, they have 184. Here's what Trudeau had to say to his excited supporters.
This is what positive politics can do. This is what a positive, hopeful vision and a Platform and a team together can make happen. Canadians from all across this great country sent a clear message tonight. It's time for a change in this country, my friends, a real change.
Humber's reporter Lauren Courtney was at Trudeau's headquarters last night and has this report.
The Conservative Party suffered a big loss after almost 10 years in power. Once it was official that his government was out, the news came that Stephen Harper was stepping down as party leader. During his concession speech, Harper expressed his disappointment but did not outline his official resignation.
Friends, our country is one of the most enduring democracies in the world today. And today, for the 42nd time in 148 years, Canadians have chosen a national parliament. Well, tonight's result is certainly not the one we had hoped for. The people are never wrong. Know also this as well. The disappointment you also feel is my responsibility and mine alone. But know this for certain. When the next time comes, this party will offer Canadians a strong and clear alternative based on our Conservative values.
Earlier this morning, Party President John Walsh issued a statement confirming Harper's departure.
Meanwhile, the so-called orange crush of the 2011 election turned into the orange crash last night. The NDP suffered the heaviest losses in the election, dropping to 44 seats and third-party status in the House. Leader Thomas Mulcair thanked all the supporters for their work, but was silent about his future.
Thank you for your hard work, your dedication to our cause, and your steadfast hope and optimism. As a party with established roots in all corners of this country and deep roots right here in Quebec, the next chapter begins in our effort to build a better Canada. Thank you.
Canadians showed up to the polls in record numbers yesterday. More than 68% of voters cast their ballots. That's up from 61% since the last federal election. Here's how the results look from across the country. The Liberals under Justin Trudeau won 55% of the national vote. The Conservatives under Stephen Harper got 32%, and the NDP under Thomas Mulcair got just 19%. Elizabeth May's Green trailed the Bloc Québécois. The two parties managed to get only a combined 3%.
Let's see how the numbers broke down across the country. The Maritimes' wave of red set the tone early for last night's election. Atlantic Canada gave the Liberals a spectacular start with a solid lead. Quebec and Ontario continued the trend by adding more Liberal, red, and NDP orange to the map. Moving west, no surprise with Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba's voting, covering the country Midwest blue. Sitting above Central West Canada are the 3 territories added to the Liberals' surge. And by the time the polls closed in NDP-dominant British Columbia, the Red Sea had already promised Trudeau a victory.
One of the most important battlegrounds was right here in Toronto. Let's see how the big-name ridings shaped up. In the 2011 election, much of the area around Toronto voted Conservative, and voters turned their back on the Liberals. But this time around, the 905 switched back to the Liberals, and now the map of the GTA looks a lot like it did in 2004. Liberal were red rather than Tory blue. Zooming in, it was a perfect game for Trudeau in the Big Smoke. A red wave swept over the entire city, including major ridings like Spadina-Fort York and Eglinton-Lawrence.
In the House of Commons, there will be a whole new seating arrangement. The Liberal Party ended with 184 seats. The Conservatives are the official opposition with 99, and the NDP won 44 seats. Green Party leader Elizabeth May kept her 1 seat, and the Bloc Québécois got the remaining 10. Bloc leader Gilles Duceppe did not win his own seat.
Earlier today, we spoke with Vice Canada's political reporter Justin Ling on Skype. We started by asking him what the people of Canada said. Back with our Humber News Federal Election Special.
If you're just joining us, Canadians will have to get used to saying Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, since he's our new leader.
Now we're going to take a look at some of the battles that were lost and won during last night's election. We start with a look at one of the biggest stories during last night's excitement. It was a grudge match in Spadina-Fort York. Adam Vaughan took his seat back in a heated race with the popular NDP candidate Olivia Chow. Humber News' Samantha Singh was on the scene to catch all the action.
Vaughan rode the Liberal wave to victory in Spadina-Fort York. It turns out that the riding wasn't a close race at all. Vaughan gets to keep his seat in the House of Commons by winning with twice as many votes as Olivia Chow. Vaughan first won his seat when Chow vacated it to run for mayor. While Olivia Chow and the NDP couldn't pull in the votes, she doesn't consider it a bitter rivalry.
And locally, I would like to let Adam know that I will support him in progressive change, so should we all. And I wish him well.
Meanwhile, supporters filled Rivoli with big smiles and Vote Vaughan t-shirts to congratulate the man of the hour. During his campaign, Vaughan targeted condo dwellers' concerns for affordable housing, transit, and the Island Jet Airport. But last night, he was all about the big picture.
He didn't take ideas from the Canadians he talked to, and the residents of this riding, even politicians like myself. He took all of us with him. And all of us are going to Ottawa to make a difference, because it's not just the hope and hard work of our great leader, it's the hope and hard work of Canadians. We want a better country, and we know a better country is possible, and that starts by building stronger cities.
It was a thrilling election race in the key Eglinton-Lawrence riding last night, and not because it was close. Former finance minister and star candidate Joe Oliver was one of the first prominent Conservatives to crumble in the Liberal victory. Our reporter Katie Peterson has the story.
Minutes after the polls closed, they were still playing baseball at the curling club where incumbent and former Conservative finance minister Joe Oliver awaited his fate. Most constituents didn't show up until 11 o'clock as they were campaigning until the last minute. But supporters were greeted with bad news.
It's going to be an opportunity for my generation to rebuild and renew the party, and we're going to have a big opportunity to do that.
In his concession speech, Oliver celebrated Harper's successes over the years and thanked his supporters.
It's been a very long campaign, and I couldn't possibly have hoped for a more devoted and talented group of volunteers, and that includes particularly everyone who came out today. 400 volunteers or more worked all day, so thank you so very much.
Meanwhile, down the street, the party was just getting started for supporters of Liberal candidate Marco Mendicino.
When our opponents said that the Liberal Party was dead, he said, "Not so fast." When they criticized him, or his hair, or his family, he put the focus back on each and every one of you.
Mendicino mingled with his constituents, lending out warm hugs and photo ops for his cheering supporters.
It's been 14 months, but I'm so proud that they have given me the honor of being their Member of Parliament, and I'm going to work hard every day.
The second cabinet minister to be defeated was the Minister of Immigration, Chris Alexander, in Ajax. He lost to the Liberal candidate who had held the riding in the past, Mark Holland. Our reporter Nick Bear was in Ajax last night and has the story.
And change is what they got. As a red wave swept across the country, the important 905 region endured a similar fate. There were tense moments early in the night, but in a riding expected to be one of the closest in the region, one party ended up with a decisive victory. Liberal MP-elect Mark Holland defeated incumbent Conservative and outgoing Minister of Immigration Chris Alexander by a sizable margin. Holland spoke about his message through a grueling campaign.
Canadians are saying that they want hope, that they want to focus on growth and opportunity and positivity, that they want to put fear and division in the past, that attacking people just because they have a different opinion or silencing critics. We have to make sure that we really operate with a spirit of inclusion and cooperation.
Holland, who held the Ajax seat from 2004 to 2011, spoke about his difficult decision to run again and how important it was for supporters like healthcare worker Hazel John to keep spreading Prime Minister-designate Justin Trudeau's message.
We're for change. We wanted this change because we know 4 more years of Stephen Harper. We can't allow our healthcare to go down. So we want this change, and this change happened, and we are proud healthcare workers.
There are still more great stories to come from last night's election. We'll be back after this short break. We're back with our Humber News Federal Election Special.
If you're just tuning in, we woke up this morning with a new Prime Minister with a very familiar name. Justin Trudeau has won with an overwhelming victory. Now we want to take a look at some of the other battles that were lost and won last night.
Etobicoke Centre was set to be one of the tightest races in the GTA. But last night, the Liberals ended up winning by a healthy margin. Boris Jesnevsky is going back to Ottawa. Our reporter Alex Martino has the details.
A tired Jesnevsky family entered the celebrations clearly relieved with the win.
Boy, does majority feel good.
Jesnevsky expressed a hope for a brighter future in Canada in his acceptance speech.
We're going to make haste to do the good for all Canadians. We will build a Canada that, once again, the rest of the world looks to as a shining example, and its inspiration, a Canada that, when they talk about us internationally, they once again say, what the world needs more of is Canada.
The 54-year-old says he's eager to get back to legislating in Ottawa.
There's a number of bills that I've introduced in the past that need to be reintroduced. Some will be pretty easy, like my amendment to the hate crimes legislation. There's a very complex bill, the exact opposite of that very simple amendment to the bill, a complex bill on trafficking in human body parts and organs. And all of that speaks to that incredible work that one can do as a legislator in making a difference in millions of
In Etobicoke North, home to the North Campus of Humber College, Liberal Christy Duncan held onto her seat in a landslide victory. Here's Charlotte Morat-Jacobs with the story.
It was an emotional evening for Liberal supporters at Woodbine Banquet Hall. Smiling through her tears, Christy Duncan took to the podium, re-elected as MP of Etobicoke North.
You could see this was a team effort. You know what? I could not have done it without all of these people. They've been with us day in, day out. It really is a family.
Duncan won with 62% of the votes and has served Etobicoke North since 2008.
We just want to continue the work we've been doing. We get good things done for the community and for our families.
While Duncan says she hopes to build upon her accomplishments, she laughed off the very real possibility of becoming a cabinet minister.
And I get to serve the community I'm born and raised in, the community that I love.
And as a cabinet minister as well. In Ottawa, Duncan has fought for better protection of the environment and women's rights. She has sponsored more than 19 bills directed to family and health issues.
The riding that threw out former Liberal leader Michael Ignatieff in 2011 embraced the red wave once again last night. James Maloney reclaimed Etobicoke Lakeshore for the Liberals. Humber News reporter Dominic Loschiavo was on the scene.
Maloney took back the Etobicoke Lakeshore riding with 54% of the vote. It was vindication for Maloney. He defeated the Conservative incumbent Bernard Trottier by a wide margin. Throughout the campaign, the Liberal Party had been promising change, and Maloney says change is coming.
Canadians tonight, voted for change. Not only change, they voted for real change. Real change in Etobicoke Lakeshore means unity.
About 100 supporters turned out to celebrate Maloney's victory. They say they're looking forward to change and are expecting great things.
Change infrastructure in Etobicoke. We really need transit and get people moving around here.
Jamie's planning on working with both councillors and to work together to make this area better.
I've known him for probably 10 years, and he's a great guy. He'll do anything for anybody.
Oh, I think it's just going to be a whole new mood in the country. It's going to be much more positive.
The Liberals had held Etobicoke Lakeshore since 1993 until they lost.
The people of Toronto showed a strong appetite for change throughout the election, and we asked Justin Ling what last night's result will mean for the city. Still more great stories from the GTA. We'll be back after this short break, so stay with us.
Back to our Humber News election special. Our reporters were scattered throughout the GTA last night, and we're going to take a look at more of the battles that were lost and won.
A big name for the Liberals in Scarborough Southwest reaped big results. Former Toronto Police Chief Bill Blair won a handy victory and is headed from the forest to the hill. Our reporter Nicole Williams has a story.
It was a rock star welcome for the former police chief of Toronto. Liberal candidate Bill Blair's campaign expected the win in Scarborough Southwest riding last night. As polls closed, supporters began to celebrate.
This is a very, very extraordinary night. I think it has exceeded anything any of us could have hoped for. So tomorrow, there are no Liberals and Conservatives or NDP members, there are Canadians, and we will all go forward together.
I'm delighted about it. Absolutely delighted.
The numbers have come in, and Bill Blair has taken the spot for the Scarborough Southwest riding, leaving NDP candidate Dan Harris in the dust.
The NDP managed a surprise win in the 2011 election, but stood no chance against the Liberal wave that was sweeping the country.
Nobody should feel sad about what we did. This was bigger than us. There was not a thing we could have done to change the outcome tonight.
Green Party candidate and activist Tommy Taylor, who was arrested in the G20 protests, says he's skeptical about the newly elected Blair.
Knock on a lot of people's doors in Scarborough Southwest, and they would say, I'm voting Liberal because I want Justin Trudeau, I want Harper gone, but I detest Bill Blair.
However, that wasn't the case at party headquarters last night, as celebrations went into the early hours of the morning.
Blair's predecessor, Julian Fantino, was in the race of a lifetime against well-known political family in Vaughan Woodbridge. Francesco Sobrara got just enough of the vote to keep the Liberals riding the red wave in the GTA. Christine McAllister has the details.
What was supposed to be a victory turned into a concession when Associate Minister Julian Fantino lost the Vaughan Woodbridge riding to Liberal candidate Francesco Sobrara. Fantino was visibly disappointed, but says he is proud of his campaign and his time served.
We ran an ethical campaign. Our people have been absolutely committed. And at the end of the day, you accept the results, and I certainly do.
The former MP says we're all winners because this is democracy at work.
The people of Vaughan Woodbridge have spoken, and I leave that to their good judgment.
Fantino arrived long after his defeat was announced to a half-empty banquet hall. The atmosphere was lively at first, but began to die down once the numbers rolled in. It was a different story on the other side of the Vaughan Woodbridge riding. Liberal candidate Francesco Sobrara says it was a long and grueling campaign, but it was well worth it.
I feel very good. I feel great. Our message resonated at the doors with the residents of Vaughan Woodbridge.
Sorbera hopes to cut taxes for the middle class, invest in the GO Transit system, and help seniors. The newly elected MP says the shift to Liberal was indicative of the country's desire for change.
And after 10 years of Mr. Harper, people were tired of his policies, and they wanted something better, something positive, and we brought that, and that was great.
It was clear the younger generations were also excited for change.
It was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so I was watching it at home, and I saw like the voting coming in, and I was like freaking out because it was off by a few hundred, and then after a while they were getting higher, and I was like, oh my god.
I feel like the whole entire party just was so excited, and that's what got voters excited, and just everybody really wanted real change.
Hours after Cervera took the win, the Liberal supporters were still celebrating the Vaughan Woodbridge area turning red.
To Peel Region now, where the 905 reestablished itself as a Liberal stronghold. In Brampton North, Liberal candidate Ruby Sahota ousted Conservative incumbent Parm Gill by a margin of more than 7,000 votes. Humber News' Evan Pressman has more.
This long election may have been a fight, but last night there was nothing but dancing and celebration at Ruby Sahota's campaign party. Sahota, who beat out former Brampton North MP Parm Gill by nearly 10,000 votes, says we're headed towards a more inclusive, unified Canada.
Tonight, Canadians rejected politics of division. Canadians have chosen a message of diversity, of hope, and prosperity for the middle class.
And choose Canadians did. Voter turnout was up this time around, up over 7% from the last election. Part of that is due to Canada's youth, as Elections Canada made a concentrated effort to draw young people to the polls. Many agree that youth played an important role in Trudeau's Liberals' win.
There's a big impact here. It's an influence, it's also a motivation where our young youth and everybody should get involved in politics, should start voting out to make that difference, to make a real change.
As for Sahota, she says that good won in the end, as she killed her competition with kindness.
You know, whether it was the national campaign or our local campaigns, we tried to keep it clean all along, regardless of the nasty flyers and everything that was going out. And I really feel positivity.
Elsewhere in the West End, Mississauga Malton came to prominence this election thanks to the Conservative candidate's controversial views on conversion therapy. In the end, the scandal surrounding Jagdish Grewal would propel Liberal candidate Navdeep Bains to a seat in the House of Commons. Dondre Stewart has the story.
This is a look of a winner. Liberal MP Navdeep Bains is back in office after a humbling loss in 2011. Bains' Liberals had control of his former riding, Mississauga Brampton South, from 2004 before losing to the Conservatives. Bains says it's a testament to the volunteers and supporters.
What's so amazing is that we ran a positive campaign. We stuck to our game plan. We focused on the issues that matter to Canadians. We talked about the economy, the middle class, and those that wanted to join the middle class. And I think that positive message really kept us focused and really resonated with Canadians.
Bains' campaign party was a big turnout. Many supporters were cheering on as Liberal seats increased to a majority government. Volunteer Harjot Bain says the campaign was a long
You get a chance to meet new people, you get a chance to meet volunteers, you get a chance to meet people from the community, give back to them, hear what their concerns are, and to really come up with a plan to figure out how we can best serve them.
Bain says he has big plans for his newly elected riding, Mississauga Malton.
With every bone in my body, that I will be your voice in Ottawa. I will fight for your issues and your priorities.
The race was expected to be a tighter one, but the Conservative Party dropped their candidate Jagdish Grewal after homophobic comments were found in the article he wrote.
So that wraps up our coverage of the 42nd federal election.
We'd like to thank Justin Ling for sharing his insight with us. Also, thank you to all of our reporters and the students in the broadcast television program.
There you have it. The 2015 federal election is in the books, and we have a new Prime Minister. For more coverage of last night's election, visit humbernews.ca.
Humber News is produced by students in the journalism program here at North Campus. I'm Laura De Silva.
And I'm Alex Drobin. Join us for a regular newscast tomorrow.